Fourth stream in the row, being on time. Hey everyone, how are you doing? I am RM. I am a seagull. And I am exchanging my time for CEPs. Not CEPs. We're off to a great start. CPEs in exchange for my time. So that I can remain CISSP certified with ISE 2. Now, let me take the starting soon screen off, because we're going to get right into this. Also, I took the chat off of slow mode that I did not even know I had turned on. So that's great. Is the music too loud? Because there's, like, Spacescapes tends to be pretty soft. I was thinking I could leave that at max volume. But we're listening to Spacescapes today. Oh, it's loud? Alright. Very loud. Okay. Changing it then. Let's go to Spotify. I really need to learn to fade that transition instead of just click the button. Did that last stream. I was good about that last stream. Yeah, sure. No worries, Kaviri. Thanks for the volume check, Lirio. I don't have monitoring set up yet. And I don't know what anybody else's volumes are set to anyway. Okay, so last time we talked about doing a qualitative risk analysis, and I probably should have spent a little more time on the chart than I should have, but we'll get to that. What I noticed in that stream was that I didn't really have time to get into a lot of topics and explain how you would place some of the tougher topics to gauge in that matrix. I think the matrix was pretty simple and self-explanatory. It's just, you've got to do it. Hey, Saru, thanks for the lurk. You too, Omni. Appreciate y'all being here. Anyway. Where was I? Oh yeah, the matrix itself was pretty simple, but if anybody has questions about that, I will be happy to answer those questions, especially after VOD is uploaded, which the reason none of those VODs are uploaded is because I was thinking about what channel I would be uploading those to, and I was considering doing, like, the 07 channel. Oh yeah, I managed to grab the last VOD, absolutely. All the VODs are grabbed. No worries about VODs being grabbed. I guess we're talking shop for the first couple of minutes, because there's some shop to talk about. But I think I'm going to set up because this is an account I want ISE2 to look at to verify that I have done these streams, and since I'm not affiliate yet, but, you know, affiliate doesn't seem to be all that hard to get, according to my metrics. That said, I don't have affiliate yet. The amount of time VOD stays on the channel is just nowhere near long enough, and I would have to be partner to even consider that long enough. So I've got to dump them on a YouTube channel somewhere to be like, hey, I did this. This is where you would go to audit this activity, so on and so forth. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm not going to upload that to the 07 channel because it's lighthearted, and it's like clips and memes and other like streamer support focused content, and it just doesn't work with this. So I'm going to do a separate account for those purposes. Search reverse mortgage on YouTube. Yeah, I understand that, Ninjasaurus. I get it. I should probably dump it on main. You're absolutely right. Thanks for the first message, by the way. I appreciate you being here. You're right. I should probably just dump it on main so that the SEO is already done. Absolutely correct. I was coming about that the wrong way. I was thinking too much about ISC2, but we're going to talk about ISC2 because here's the thing. I'm not going to get into recent events too much, even though they are very much security related. There are still facts being thrown around. There's still a lot of misinformation out there. Anybody who is reporting on that news as they get it has definitely misinformed people more than they have informed them over the course of the thing, which is always the case with shootings. Always the case. It has never not been the case. The first things you hear on any shooting are almost always wrong. And sometimes they are beyond incorrect, like they're fabrications. I was actually involved in a mass shooting this year. Let's see, how many people died? Was it actually a mass shooting? I'm not going to use the FBI statistics. It was a mass shooting involved earlier this year, and I heard things from people that I trusted that were completely false. So the hysteria can cause, like, otherwise trustworthy people to just say some wild shit that turned out not to be true. And that includes EMTs in this case. So, yeah. That was fun. Anyway, I'm gonna let the dust settle on that one before I talk about the security implications, but there is something about that event I did want to go over since it is prudent. Hi, Nick! What's up? Really glad you stopped by. So what we're doing, Nick, is I'm about to go over the ISC2 Code of Ethics because it's relevant over the last couple of days. Oh yeah, that's right, INAC. You did crazy shit. Welcome in, INAC. But this will not be a long thing to go over. There are just some points I wanted to make. Anybody who is a CISSP, and furthermore, anybody who is certified by ISC2 is required to agree to this code of ethics. And it's an actionable code of ethics. If you are found in breach of it, you can be punished up to and including losing your certification, and I believe in some cases owing ISC2 money that they will go after you for in court. So it's kind of like, if you're an ISC2 member, you have two HRs. You have the HR at wherever you work, and then you have ISC2 as a second HR. So we're going to go over this very, very short code of ethics because the standing of complaint for this code of ethics is pretty impactful. So you've got 4 canons, you've got the preamble, and you've got the 4 canons. So the preamble might be actionable, but it's not considered an actual canon that you can report against. It just sets up why these canons exist. So I'm not really sure I'm going to go over the canons. They're short. Let's go over it. The Code of Ethics Preamble is the safety and welfare of society and the common good, duty to our principles, duty to each other, require that we adhere and be seen to adhere to the highest ethical standards of behavior. Note the adhere and seen to adhere. Therefore, strict adherence to this code is a condition of the certification. And on that note, somebody who is very, or was very close to me when I was in politics, reminded me at several points throughout that short career that, I say short, it was like 6-7 years, but that can be short, that the appearance of impropriety is often, if not worse, than the impropriety itself. In a political context, and the same goes here, and it's enumerated in the preamble, is if you are seen to not be adhering to the code of ethics, that's also an issue. So canon 1 is protect society, the common good, necessary public trust and confidence. That's the big one. Hold on to that. Ah, nice. Little Caesars. That is great food for when you need something gross and cheesy. in my opinion. Like, that's what I use it for. I don't like discount chain pizza because it's trying to pretend that it's something it's not, and Little Caesars is not trying to pretend to be more than it is. So you have like a few chains that are in between Caesars and chains like Pizza Hut or Hungry Howie's or not Hungry Howie's, Pizza Hut or like Domino's or something. And one of those chains is Hungry Howie's, and they're like absolutely awful because it's like the worst of both worlds. You're not just getting loaded up on cheese, which is basically what Little Caesars is. Just load up on just have a fat ball and you're good. Have a fat and carb ball and you're good. And they don't try to be anything more than that. And I wouldn't really like call the other chains good either, but like that's your last stop before a sit down place. So, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, enough about pizza. The tenet about necessary public trust and confidence is going to be big on this one. And the infrastructure, and that won't really relate. Canon 2 is act honorably, justly, honestly, responsibly, and legally. Canon 3 is provide diligent and competent service to principals, and Canon 4 is advance and protect the profession. And you need standing to file a complaint. And whether or not you have standing depends on which canon you're talking about. So we're going to go to the standings of complaint. And complaints will be accepted only from those who claim to be injured. So you have to claim to be injured. Yeah, Hungry Howie's was nasty. Wife who used to work at Hungry Howie's, we'll get to that later. Complaints will be accepted from those who claim to be injured by the alleged behavior. So that establishes standing. While any member of the public may complain about breach of canons 1 or 2, so I hate how they frame this in the negative, but it is concise. What this is saying is that anybody can complain about these. I don't have to be working for you. I do not have to be a colleague or an equal or anybody that is certified by ISC2 or others. Any Joe can complain about an ISC2 member violating these two canons. Only principals, those with an employer-contractor relationship with the certificate holder, may complain about violations of Canon 3. So that's probably not a lot of you, and really doesn't apply to what I'm talking about. And only other professionals, that's me, those who are certified or licensed as professional and also subscribe to a code of ethics. So that would be other certifying organizations, but only if they also have a code of ethics. And I would also say only if it's similar, because somebody has to like look at it, look at the complaint, and how similar the code of ethics is may be a factor. I'm not saying it is, but it might be. It would be for me. May complain about violations of Canon 4. So this one kind of doesn't matter for the purposes of what I'm talking about right now. Me and people like me can complain about this line, and I have to be injured by this line, but that's kind of an easy bar to meet, and that's why only other professionals can complain about it. And the public can complain about both. Anybody can complain about 1 and 2. So if you're going on social media and you are a security professional certified by this body, and you are celebrating somebody losing their life, current events aside, like ever, for any reason, you have violated at least this. In my estimation, both of these as well. Probably several of these. And I am also going to complain about this one as a professional because you are eroding public trust in people certified by my organization when you do that. So I'm going to make that complaint if I see it. But if you are a member of the public, you can complain about these two if you see them. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Now, what are the certifications? All of these are ISC2 certifications. I'm this one. But if you are in IT and you know any SSCP, CCs, any of these guys, and they are making statements in line with what I am talking about, you can send a complaint to ISC2 about these people. And I would encourage you to do so. And if you see one of those people, and you also want Canon 4 complained about, drop me a message with the evidence, and I will see about doing that. Because I'm sick of it. I will report them to their second HR, and then they may lose their certification. And then they might have to explain why. So that's where we're at. Now, I have some tabs today because I went through some documentation for other topics. Oh, wait, before we get to that, Inac was mentioning how Hungry Howie's was nasty. So, anybody here ever have Hungry Howie's? Because this is like a very American thing. I doubt any of my Euro buddies. Brother, Inac says, you would think someone who is of that level education would be smart enough to not post things publicly like that? You would think. That's all I'm going to say about that. You would think. As, the late Rush Limbaugh used to say, a lot of people are educated beyond their intelligence. Which, that was like one of my... I thought he was just being funny when I was a kid, but I kept running into it, and like I've been in higher ed for like I want to say 17 years at this point. 20's coming up. 20's definitely coming up. And buddy, that phrase lives rent-free in my head because of how often I encounter it. I'd say most people in college right now, are educated way beyond their intelligence. Which I believe is deliberate. Anyway, Hungry Howie's is like... When it was the 90s and we needed, like, poor people pizza, Hungry Howie's is how you got that. Like, if you needed to feed 30 frat bros, it was Natty Ice and Hungry Howie's. You know what I mean? It's that level of... It's that level of food. They still haven't really... Or at least the chain here still really hasn't figured out how to not make their crusts take on the flavor of the cardboard. So what they do is like, oh, we have flavored crusts. And that's like been their thing for like 30 plus years. Is, oh, we flavor... And the reason they do that is because their crusts are fucking awful and they need to be flavored. Other people don't have to flavor their crusts because their crusts are fine. I can eat most pizza bones. I cannot eat Hungry Howie's pizza bones. I can hardly eat their pizza. It is awful. And if it ever winds up in the box, which it's going to taste like the box. And it's just, it's so bad. It's so bad. Like, fucking Domino's is better than Hungry Howie's. And Domino's was better than Hungry Howie's before their reimage and their reorg and their restructure that happened in the early teens, the early 20 teens is when they did that. Where it's like the only place I can get... Oh, that's not true anymore either. Anyway. It's not good. And if somebody's like, yeah, we need to go to, like waifu just loves Howie's, and I don't understand it. And it's probably woman stuff because like she used to work for them, so it's like that, I guess. But it's terrible. That might be one of those Florida bros things, because like Inak's the only other chatter here that mentioned that they'd ever even encountered Hungry Howie's. I don't know. We can look that up later. But I definitely have some things to go over today. That's kind of related to our risk analysis yesterday. And one of those things, and it concerns streamers particularly, is your Discord DMs and how dangerous those are. Which is funny, because when I was driving home from work today, Waifu has had... Inax says Waifu has had taste buds ruined. Absolutely. 100%. But this actually goes for any Discord user. And I think most people in my audience are pretty strong on this one. But this goes for any Discord user. Like, your DMs are a virus vector. Because Discord does not... As far as I'm aware, whatever system they're using isn't working. We'll put it that way, to scan links that are going through their services for malicious links. I don't think they're doing anything. Like, whatever they're doing, if they're doing anything at all, doesn't seem to have any success or efficacy at all. So there's that. And people keep clicking shit. And one of the things I keep talking about is like, hey, you really need to stop clicking shit. And people use social engineering because it works. And people just click shit. And I don't know why. So we're going to go over some examples of people clicking shit. So this post is from today, I believe. Nope, yesterday. Late yesterday. Timestamps are a thing. But Megalodon says, lots of people are getting their Discord accounts hacked right now. Please don't press on any links your friends send you unless you are sure about them. I don't want to see any more friends have to get their accounts back. Which is like, that warning is being put out because the tactic is being actively leveraged right now. Oh yeah, I can zoom in for you. There you go. Appreciate it, Ninja. I always like to know when something's like actually wrong on stream, because I don't always have the OBS up, and it's already in a tiny window when I do that anyway. But I also want to go over the fact that, like, unless I explicitly clown on somebody here, the purpose of this is not to like bring up people and make fun of them for like, oh, look at what they're posting, they're being so insecure, blah blah blah. A lot of these platforms are not doing what they should be doing for security purposes, and also they're not doing their due diligence or their due care, is what I should be saying. And also, I'm going to take somebody who says that, hey, I've been hacked, hey, I've been compromised. I'm always going to hold them in higher regard than somebody who tries to hide it. So that's my default position on that. Now, if somebody's doing something stupid, I will tell you. But, Megalodon's basically doing a PSA. That's good. That's good boy points. Good shark points. Good whatever you want to use. That's a good thing. But I will take a little bit of issue of, please don't press on any links your friends send you unless you are sure about them. I have a very, very high threshold for being sure about a link, and I believe you should as well. If somebody is sending you a link, well, we'll call it, let's bring up Zero Trust. Zero trust is not perfect. I have a lot of criticisms with the zero trust model. But everybody should treat a DM on the... they should treat an account on a Discord as something that is authorized but is not authenticated. And what that means is whoever is on that account gained access to that account, but that does not mean that it is who you think it is. And one of the reasons for that is the lateral movement tactics that are used on Discord. Like, first of all, you could probably, if you're Discord, you can probably see this happening just by looking at the inorganic spreading of a very specific link, and you can probably catch this in a few hops. And anyway, whatever they're doing, it's not working. But I would not do any links in Discord. I would not click them. That's why I like embeds from like Twitter or YouTube, because I don't have to click them. I like content that embeds. You can hover over something and like it will tell you where the URL actually goes, but when it comes to things like downloading files, absolutely not. You're going to send me to a web portal that I can log into where, you know, we share sort of some trust. And what I mean by that is Discord does not scan stuff on their platform, but Google does. So I've actually done this to Nero, where he'll try to send me something in Discord, and I'll be like, I don't know if this was on the server or in our DMs or what, but he'll try to send me something in Discord, and I'll be like, nope, you are sending that to me through Google Docs. And the reason you're doing that is because Google scans their platform for malicious links and viruses. So there you go. That is an easy thing you can do, not to get total protection, but to get more protection. Do not download things from your quote-unquote friends, because when you do, and when you have that attitude, what happens is you become the next vector, and then people that are your friends that also have that attitude are going to do the same thing. It's going to spread like wildfire, which is what is happening right now. I'll go to the next one. So I don't know who SwitchCat is. Probably somebody I would easily know if I was in Savvy's community, but I have no idea who this is. But they're pinging Discord and Discord support on 9/9/25. The Discord account Savvy6869 was hacked via token theft through a suspicious link sent to her from a compromised friend. So this is exactly what I was just talking about. You get compromised. So if somebody messages you and you are friends and they are sending you files to download or links to follow without like any sort of context or hey, or you know, suspicious behavior is always suspicious behavior no matter who it comes from. That's the lesson. That's zero trust. It's like, it's not coming from my friend. It is coming from my friend's account, and you have to make that distinction. All right? If you've got friends on Discord, the messages, the files they send you, that's not coming from my friend. That is coming from my friend's account. Acquaintance, whatever you want to use. And once you understand that, you will fall for this less. So if you don't know what token theft is, we've discussed it on this stream before, but I'll go over it real quickly. Token theft is basically if I'm currently logged into one of my services. So start send you naked link. Yes, exactly. You know, I will. If you take a selfie of your ugly bastard body and send it to me, I know that was you, at least. Generally. Now, if you keep recycling the same one, maybe I don't. But, you know, the unsolicited dick pic may be a way for me to know that you really did send that message. So, if you're logged into a service, you generally get a token sent to your browser to represent that your authentication for that session. And I'm trying to make this to where anybody who's like really, really non-technical can understand what's going on. So like your browser gets sent a multipass for that service. And if there's no protections on that multipass and you open another service on that browser, then that service can see that multipass and use it. So, think of that when you see token theft, think my browser's multipass to whatever I was logged on to just got stolen, and the hacker now has my multipass to whatever. That's why banks log you out after like 2 minutes. That's why they do that now, by the way, is to stop this from happening. That's why I recommend browser isolation, because browser isolation will also stop this from happening. So, if I've got my Google Chrome open, but I never do my banking in Google Chrome, and I have Brave open, and my banking app is there, and it's not my default application, it's not my default browser, and the only thing I do in that browser is use my bank, and then I'm in Google Chrome with a Discord window open, and I click a suspicious link, it won't be able to read the session from the Brave browser. So that's what I mean by browser isolation. You could apply that in reverse and have a browser that is the browser that you use for Discord and literally 0 other things. You could apply it that way. But anyway, token theft is when a malicious, we'll say tab on your browser steals your other multipasses. What about Chrome profile? I wouldn't trust that. I think... See, I don't like getting into I think. I just don't trust it. Because I'm not an expert on token theft. I just know what it is and what the general defenses are. But what is true about token theft changes almost monthly, daily even. 0-day exploits can be discovered that, make it more effective, and then patches will make it less effective, and who's got what patched on their server side and how specifically that is patched and what they are running. That question came from VNS World, by the way. Asked, what about Chrome profiles? We can look that up together later. But I don't like speculating on that. If I'm going to browser isolate, I'm going to browser isolate. Now, what I will tell you is that I have heard other people in the field say having another window open like this. I believe when you're in Chromium architecture, this is a tab-to-tab vulnerability, and even having a browser open with a different profile or no profile of the same browser, or even a different window in the same profile, stops some of this. But for the purposes of the advice, I'm going to recommend complete browser isolation, if that makes sense. Because I don't know which attack fails for which level, but I do know having a complete different browser stops all token theft. Imagine basically any situation where you are signed into a service and then you do something that causes you to have to sign into that service again, even though you told the service to remember you. Think about it that way. That's how you can test it. All right? Generally. But I'm still going to strongly suggest that if you're going to practice browser isolation, you do it 100% no halfway. It's not convenient. I'll grant you that. So maybe you have the browser where all your fun thing happen, and then you have your browser where your banking happen, And then you have your browser where like all the the semi-serious stuff goes, and you isolate that way. But if you're going to do browser isolation at all, I recommend completely different browsers to do it. But you need to adopt the security posture that you're actually going to use, and not think about one that you don't use. So, the Discord was hacked via token theft through a suspicious link sent to her from a compromised friend. Immediately, the email attached to that account was also compromised, and shortly thereafter, the X account that shared that email address. And this third part would have happened regardless of whether the email was open, because what they did was they got the email attached, and the email authorizes you to the X account. It sounds like 2auth was not being used here based on the attack chain, but that's unknown. Because if the X account was also stolen by token, it would have happened together with these. So that tells me that the attacker got these and then reset the X account's password with the email, which sort of tells me that two-factor wasn't on, or if it was, like a very weak version of it. Anyway, the hacker is familiar with Discord's hack response and deleted the account. It's gone. It cannot be recovered. Meanwhile, the service and support communications have been little more than the image attached here. Now, this one is interesting to me, because I call bullshit. I do not believe that Discord, if they wanted to, could not restore that account. Their data retention policies on their own tell me that they could. Like, maybe I'm the only one here who's ever actually... Well, no. Saru's here. So... Well, I assume Saru's here, lurking. But... I'm probably one of the few motherfuckers who's actually read Discord's, like, data retention policy. And I don't believe that they can't restore the account. I can believe that they're unwilling, but I can't believe that they can't. Anyway, like, not being able to do this on a technical level tells me that they're not doing, like, legally mandated data retention for certain events. That's kind of fishy, you know? There's nothing a user should be able to do that would delete your data so completely, aside from a GDPR, you know, freedom to be forgotten, or right to be forgotten request. Like, there's nothing you should be able to hit on platform, is what I'm saying. That should render your account unrecoverable forever. Maybe that's what they mean, Ninja, but that's not what they're saying. Like, that's not what the words on the screen say. You know what I mean? I've got to go by that. The hacker is familiar with Discord's hack response and deleted the account. It's gone. It cannot be recovered. So it sounds like this is a thing that hackers know that they can do and that they exploit. So it sounds like there are things that users can do to render their account unrecoverable, or make Discord unwilling to recover it. So that's interesting to me, because a user should not have that power, even a hacked user. So that's my take on that. Meanwhile, the service and support communications have been little more than the image attached here, which we'll get to later. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever dealt with Discord support, but it basically doesn't exist. It basically doesn't exist. There was a person who came to me a few years ago because they had revenge corn being spread everywhere of them, and they were not of the age of majority in their country when those pictures were taken. And the things that didn't happen as a result of the reports to Discord were crazy. This is unacceptable. While the true owner of the account is trying to get the account back, the hacker is using her identity to hack others. Yeah, I mean, it's a lateral attack. That's what they're going to do. Through inaction, Discord is complicit in this hack campaign. I mean, yeah, I think Discord's security posture makes them complicit in a lot of things. And there should be some sort of framework, legal framework, to bring them to heel on that. And I just don't understand how they haven't been sued by somebody important yet. I really don't. Give me the concerned Doge and Monkus reacts. Yeah. I mean, guys, it happens a lot more than you would think. And for some reason, I'm always the person getting DMs like that. Like, when something happens to somebody, they come to me. And that's always been a thing with me. I don't know where it comes from. Because you're just like, oh, well, you're nice and stuff. You know, like, you've always been good to me, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, but, like, total strangers can pick me out for this. And I don't... Maybe I've got, like, resting white knight face. I don't know what it is. But people I do not know, or people I've known for a few seconds, start spilling their guts to me all the time. And it's kind of weird. And sometimes it's really exhausting. Like, keeping secrets for people is exhausting. Like, knowing something about somebody that you could never ever tell anybody else is exhausting. Time to trauma dump to RM and DMs. Yeah, yeah. INX says, you feel trustworthy. Yeah, I just don't know why. I wish I could turn that off sometimes so I could breathe a little bit. But yeah, Plaza says time to trauma dump RM DMs. Yeah, that we call that Tuesday. Many people are being hit with these hacks, and if this is the response, the losses these people take will be beyond calculation. It's not beyond calculation. I get what you're trying to say here, but it's very calculable. Most things VTubers do are actually, they have a calculable cost. So we were doing qualitative risk analysis last week. I'd say at least half the things that you do as a VTuber, and half is like very conservative estimate, can have a quantitative analysis done, where you get to use all those formulas I was talking about with the ALE and the ARO and the SLE. Yeah, we're on flashbang mode on X. We are. Because I'm not logged into X on this browser, and I won't be logged into X on this browser. This is like the browser I use for streaming. It's part of my browser isolation. Because I don't trust any of the apps that I browse on while logged in to not send up a toast notification with compromising shit. Like, I was on my photography browser before stream, and there's a toast notification. Well, it's not a Windows toast notification, but it's like a notification card going, hey, somebody liked a picture of your wife's naughty bits. Here it is. I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad that didn't happen on stream. You know, so we've got browser isolation going on here. So I missed a few comments. INX says, I can't explain it better. Yeah, I'm not asking you to explain it better. It's just I wish I could explain it, you know? That way I could learn to, like, turn it off when I don't want to be bothered with it. That's what I meant by that. Kaviri says they know your notepad is secure. Like, apparently, man. Apparently. The, who knows? We'll move on from that. But it's not beyond calculation. That is what somebody says maybe when they're feeling overwhelmed. I don't know. Like I said, I can't read people's minds, but what we can say is won't be reported, won't be publicly disclosed. We will never know, but it's not beyond calculation. Discord needs to fix this immediately. Yeah, Discord needed to fix that, like, at inception. I do not believe for a moment that Discord, the application, was built with the secure by design philosophy in mind. I think it was one of many applications where security was tacked on later. And that always has consequences that definitely show. You have to develop, Inex says, you have to develop resting bitch face. Man, I try. And, you know, some of my friends even say that I've succeeded. Like, they call me a pineapple person. Well, given this crowd, I might have to explain which kind of pineapple person they're talking about. But the kind that's, like, spiky on the outside and tasty on the inside. You know, it's like, you don't look like you'd be good to eat on the outside, but, like, you just get past the skin and you're fine. I'm not talking about swinging. Because I believe pineapple is also involved in that. Omni says, Discord was designed to spread degeneracy. Well, it's been very effective at that. That's for sure. Perform a review of the account's DM history. Do something. Yeah, Discord's, like, incident response is as terrible as their response to anything else. Like, Discord has awful incident response. Yeah, I was listening to a certain Fox VTuber that says that line lately. The purpose of a system is what it does. Absolutely. We love Kirsche here. If you're a Kirsche hater, you know, maybe hang out until you're not. If anyone else is hurt by this security issue following this notification, and, you know, I think I didn't finish that sentence earlier because of something Inac said. I was listening to Kirsche on the way over, and she was talking about DMs being a threat vector. And she wasn't talking about, like, the clicking links. I don't think she was talking about, Hi, Spicy. She was talking about how, like, any secrets you tell people is a very high-trust activity that will probably bite you in the ass later, and doing it over text is receipts that they can use in those efforts, is what I believe she was talking about. Thank you, Plaus. Plaus is the best mod. Plaus is the best mod for saying that already. Plaus says, I will send Kirsche haters to the re-education camp so they can learn to be friendly. How do we get all VTubers to think that way? About DMs being security vectors? I don't think we can get them all to think that way, Ninja, but I'm doing my part, you know? That's why we're here. If anyone else is hurt by this security issue following this notification, the hacker is only partially to blame. I don't know about that. Because when I hear partially to blame, my brain immediately goes to, like, 50% or a mere plurality. When somebody says the hacker is only partially to blame, you know, I don't think of the number like 99.99%. Do you? Otherwise they would say mostly to blame. You know? Am I alone in that? Inac said, funny thing is, I just DM'd a VTuber today too. That is funny. Did you send them ugly bastard porn? Because that sounds like a thing you would do. Or was it Digimon related? Now you can pretend to fish. Thanks, Kaviri. Oh, wow. So the trending just popped up with the Charlie Kirk act. I'm going to be reading that later. If anyone else is hurt by the hacker is only partially the hacker is the aggressive entity here. The hacker is 99.99% to blame. And if you're going to blame anyone that is not the hacker, It starts with the user that clicked the thing. I'm sorry. The platform, unless it's a zero-click attack, which this was not, there are zero-click attacks. But the order of blame goes from the hacker to the platform in cases of zero-click attacks, to the user, to the hacker in cases of attacks that require clicking. That's the order of operations there. Oh boy, Finboy Fuda House. That sounds exciting, Inek. Is that a game? Is that like a visual novel? A visual novel? So that's my blame tree. And the user is only slightly below the bad guy in blame when it comes to attacks that require a click. The platform comes after that. So, since this was not a zero-click attack, the blame order is actually the hacker, the user, and then the platform. By allowing this to persist, equal culpability falls to... Equal culpability? I don't think so, Chief. How about the person who clicked the link? Stop clicking shit. Okay, like, I think I've seen a Savi stream or two. Like, they seem nice. I don't dislike them, but, like, it was not a zero-click attack. I do blame the hacker more. I always blame the person who pulls the trigger more, every time. But clicking that link's on you. Because if it's not on you, then the platform is ultimately responsible for not giving you access to your own account. Because that's the only way that could not be on you. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, in order to make the user completely unable to give an attacker access by clicking buttons, essentially the platform has to be a place where you cannot give anything access by clicking buttons, and that includes you. Yeah, that was my impression of Savi. Hey, Nero. Damn, buddy. Hi, sorry I made it. You need some punctuation there, pal. Hi, sorry I made it. I think I know what you meant to say. But maybe you were pulling my leg. I don't know. Anyway, anyone seeing this message, boost it to raise awareness. That's good behavior. Absolutely. And that's what I'm doing. This is broken, and I agree that it's broken. Like, now we can talk about the platform. Being able to single-click something in Discord because they won't scan traffic on their platform in a way that is affectatious is on Discord. It's not a secure platform. And we have to stop treating it like a secure platform. There's a lot of people that treat Discord like it's a secure platform, despite all evidence. And we're going to be going over a lot of that evidence today. Hackers know this and orchestrated hacks like this specifically to exploit the... Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why they're also on Facebook, as I believe Omni was saying earlier. Omni was saying the same thing happens on Facebook for the same reasons. Omni says, nah, he definitely meant hi. Sorry I made it. No stop clubbing. Baby seals. I love these. Let's see. Visual novel. Visual novel chatting? What are y'all talking about? You're still talking about the Fudas, aren't you? But yeah, Savi seems very nice. Inek thinks Savi is very nice, which that's a high rec from me, because, like, Inek doesn't get along with everybody. So if Inek says Savi is nice, then I think Savi is nice. Period. I am not moderating that. INAC says what he want, as long as it's toss. Let's see. If the platforms turn a blind eye to such a situation, the only thing we can do is elevate visibility as a community. I agree, and that's a good thing to do. But in almost all of these, there is always a... Not always. There is almost always, and I have examples where this isn't true, which is why I'm backpedaling. There is almost always a paragraph about how, you know, the person who clicked the link bears no responsibility, or it's minimized tremendously. And that's just... No. That is wrong. That is why we keep... That is why this keeps happening. Anyway, Milo, Discord support. Hello. Thank you for getting back to us. We appreciate your understanding. Oh, man. I can hear the boiler room already. For security reasons, as I mentioned, we can only help if the request comes from the email address that was originally linked to your Discord account. Okay, guys, I know this is frustrating to hear, but this is how they have their chain of custody. So if you do not have the email recovered, that's what you've got to do now. This is them telling you, we require this before we give you that. And Discord support is awful and terrible, and I get it. But usually you gotta read these things and then do them. If you cannot recover the email, then you should write another one of these about your email provider. Alright, so for security reasons, as I mentioned, we can only help if the request comes from the email address that was originally linked to your Discord account, which is kind of like no fucking duh. Because if it's not, then anybody can impersonate you because they can use any email to ask Discord to give you the account. Like, hello? Of course they're going to have some sort of limitation to some sort of primary authentication method. In this case, email. In this case, a specific email that was used to create the account. Sorry, they gotta draw the line somewhere. And I am not on Team Discord. I think I just went over how much I dislike Discord just a few minutes ago. Even if the account was compromised and the email was changed, we still need the request to come from that original email. Yeah, because that would be proof. Having control of that email would be some sort of proof. I know this can be frustrating, but we currently don't have other methods to convert and count ownership. Okay, that's their decision. If you no longer have access to the original email, please reach out to your email provider for help recovering it. Yeah. They're telling you what to do, man. You got to do it. And now, I didn't see anything in here that said we did what the email said and they're not helping us anyway. What they're saying is the service and support communications have been little more than the image attached here. What I'm not seeing is we did what they said and they still won't help us. That's what I'm not seeing here. I know it sucks. I know you're trying to get everything back. But, this means what it says, and it says what it meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. But you gotta get your email back, dude. Or Savi, like, they can't help you until you get the email that was used to create the Discord account. So, there you go. Alright, I'm gonna catch up with chat now. Damn. Inac's like, Savi doesn't like me, but she's nice. Even better. I mean, it's not better that she doesn't like you, but, like, if you think she's nice, even though she doesn't like you, like, then I can basically count on the fact that she's nice. Coming from Inac. Nero says, I just want RM to edit for me so I can say both put that in RM or put that in RM. Yeah, why not? World following instructions? Impossible. Frustrated people. I mean, frustrated people behave like frustrated people. I can only bitch so much. Discord is culpable here a little bit. The hacker is culpable a lot. The platform being insecure makes it a juicy target for the hacker, and the hacker is primarily responsible for this, but I would put the blame hacker Savi Discord because she clicked. And we gotta stop doing that, guys. We gotta stop clicking. We gotta stop clicking stupid shit. Soy milk. I have never seen a Soy Milk stream, been in the Soy Milk Discord. I don't know who this is, and that's fine. My Discord account got hacked again, so more than once. The hacker went through support tickets to get it back. Oh, man. What does that mean? What does that mean? Please don't respond to anything until I recover it. Please respond to my ticket. Okay. And then Soy Milk responds to this. My Discord account handle with the handle Soy Milk Team is gone. They've hacked it and I cannot retrieve it anymore. Sounds like the email that was used to create the account was also compromised, and they have not been successful in recovering it. Report that account if you can. If any of my friends can see this tweet, add me at Soy Milk TV handle, as it will be my new official Discord account from now on. So, when this happens to you, the obvious lateral attack here is from streamer to streamer. And that's very important to be concerned about. But also remember that when you take over a VTuber's Discord account, they also have access to the entire user base of that Discord. Because, like, who has the streamer blocked, right? That's all of their mods, which might be holding on to stuff that is important, and we'll get to that later. But, like, when the streamer gets compromised, not only is there usually a trust relationship between that streamer and other streamers, but each streamer that is compromised also has access to the entire user base of that Discord. And you cannot tell me that other streamers are more susceptible to clicking on other streamers' messages because they never read their DMs than a viewer would be. Like, imagine your Oshi pops up in your DMs. If that ever happens and your Oshi has ever said, my DMs are closed, and they pop up in your DMs, assume that they are hacked from the get-go. Especially if a link is sent anywhere in that conversation. Just assume it. Like, if they get hacked, like, if they... Nero says, you're already in my DMs, though. Well, yeah, but I messaged you, so... That's fine. Whirl's like, but it's my Oshi, smash. Yeah, so people are definitely going to click dumb shit when it's from the Roshi. Like... Inax, like, imagine having an Oshi. Yeah, you're kind of leaving yourself vulnerable to, social engineering if, like, when you describe who your Oshi is, you're describing somebody who you have inappropriate feelings for. And when I say inappropriate, I mean, like, they're stronger than the feelings you should have for an internet stranger. Like, all the people I have stronger feelings for than an internet stranger, we've met in real life. We've met in real life. Or we've done something else that's very high trust as, like, a social proof. But, like, if you have somebody online that you've never met, you've got no sort of social proof with them, and you're like, I'm going to accept messages from this person because I have feelings for them, you're creating a risk profile to yourself that does not need to exist. And it's predictable, and that's why people in WoW are so successful at pretending to be girls and getting access to the guild bank. Like, this is literally just that. And that's why it's going to get so many people. Imagine if you hacked Asmon's account, how many guild banks you could get into. Like, imagine that for a minute. Because that's what happens to your users if you are their Oshi and you get hacked. That's the level of access you can expect. Especially if you're a parasocial farmer slash GFE streamer, you know who you are. That's not just a parasocial relationship between you and that person, and I'm using that term improperly on purpose because it's just become the colloquial way to use that. And we will go over how incorrectly parasocial is used as a term. That will be a stream that we have. But for now, I'm using it in the colloquial way that Twitch uses it. But if you're going to farm a parasocial relationship with your chat, if you're going to GFE, if you're going to like be the only girl that your audience can talk to like a normal person, and you're going to play that role, you are doubly responsible for your cybersecurity posture, because I guarantee you your account can be used to ply their account in that situation. Omnisaya says, I played EVE Online for a long time. Corporate espionage is a real thing. Bro, that was me. Reverse Mortgage is my EVE handle. You can go look me up right now. I'm a dickbag. I'm a scum sucker. I didn't start that way. I started as a Care Bear, but I became an asshole. And my character portrait reflects the kind of scum sucker I wanted to be. Nero says, can I do GFE, gay friend experience? It sure is an experience. I feel like you already are. Inac says, love me some GFE. Are you saying my relationship with the security seagull isn't real? Yes. Yes, I'm saying that. We need some sort of social proof. Maybe that can be done in EVE Online. But first, I'm going to need director roles. And I'm sure Omni knows what that means. I'll trade through a trusted third party that is not Kriba and is totally not my alt. So, it says, my Discord account with the handle SoyMilkTM is gone. They've hacked it, and I cannot retrieve it anymore. Report that... Yeah, okay, we went through that. And they gave the new handle. Let me see, you're doing that. When you migrate your account on good terms and you tell your whole audience that you're migrating and you're going to a different account, and you are doing that in a not emergency, the attrition rate is roughly 50%. You know, just to address these things are not calculable argument that was thrown out earlier, the attrition rate when this is done the right way and you're moving to a different platform or you're moving to a different user account on that platform, the attrition rate is roughly 50%. Which is why I always get annoyed when people get frustrated with the platform they're streaming on and their audience goes, well, just move platforms, and lose half your audience if you do it correctly. Even more if you don't. Just, cut your check in half. Red Frog Freight for all your high-sec moving needs. Yes. God, the frog companies? I love the frog companies. I didn't get to use them much because I was like a wormhole dweller for like 5 or 6 years. I was in a corporation. The best corporation I was in was called Wrong Hole, and man, we had fun. Wrong Hole had fun. Don't drill. No, you don't drill the wormhole, man. You send too much mass through it and it collapses. That's how you collapse a hole, is you run too much mass through it. They've got mass limits, man. Some are some holes can't hold as much mass as the others. Some holes can take capital ships, even. Some holes cannot. Some holes can't even accommodate battleships. Some holes can't accommodate Q-tips. Anyway, next tab. So, this is Vienna, and Vienna has had several PSAs on, like, hacks that Vienna has been a victim of, and Vienna's always had messages that I very much approve of, that are not filled with any sort of ego, that are always self-culpable, that take ownership of the situation. I love how Vienna talks about cybersecurity incidents that happened to her. It's just like, A+, I wish you didn't get hacked as much as you do, but damn, are you a responsible person when you do get hacked. Like, S tier, actually. Like, Nero. Nero. I'm not sure I can read that one. Important PSA, creators are being targeted with social engineering to commandeer their channels, YouTube, Discord, etc. A really common one is sponsored emails. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I could do a whole stream on sponsored emails. Any email you receive that is pushing you to check a PDF or sign an NDA, PDF, before moving forward with a partnership could be malicious. Absolutely. PDFs are a known file type that is vulnerable to certain kinds of hacks. And I saw somebody on Twitter... Oh, I should have saved that, actually. I saw somebody on Twitter, like, downplaying the attack vectors for known file types, but, like, PDF is, like, one of the worst. Absolutely. Do not open a PDF interactively. Always have that shit run through some sort of security, like, malware scanner. I always put mine in at least Google Docs. Nero, we were talking about you earlier, where you tried to get me to download something. Dev has popped in. He says, never trust Adobe is great advice regardless of the context. Absolutely. They have an atrocious security record, if you ask me. I won't get too much into that because I don't want to say things that they could say are actionable, but I find their security history to be atrocious, and that's an opinion, and I am allowed to have it. So yeah, Nero was trying to send me a file, and I'm like, dude, I trust you, and based on how we're talking now, I'm pretty sure you haven't been compromised, but you're gonna send that PDF through Google Drive to me, so it can be scanned by something before I put it on my computer. And that exchange happened, and you should have that exchange. A lot of people say to use Foxit. I don't know how much I agree with that advice. I think Foxit... Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Foxit's been compromised in the past, and it's also used by people who pretend to be the place where you get Foxit, which is kind of a problem for almost all open source. Is sometimes the way to officially get the executables are kind of dodgy. Whereas bigger companies tend to have what should I say, more robust online presence with digital certificates from CAs that you can actually trust and that you've heard of before. Like, how many ways do I got to explain this? Oh, but open source, you can expect the code yourself. Yeah, who does that? Fucking nobody. I shouldn't say fucking nobody, but, like, most people don't. Definitely the end users don't. People maintaining the packages will look at it, but, like, end users? Fuck. Nobody looks at the code before becoming an end user. Miss me with that shit. Anyway, these PDFs... It's good to see you, Dev. Thanks for dropping in. These PDFs are loaded and will seal your session tokens and have access to anything you've logged into. Absolutely. So Vienna seems to understand how session jacking works. Please be incredibly careful opening PDFs of any kind, only from trusted sources. I hate the trusted sources thing, but I know what you mean. I already went over what trusted sources are, so we'll move on from that, but I hate this phrase. Because the people you are talking to might consider that the Discord account that gave them the PDF was a trusted source. That's how this lateral attack is happening. That's why it's so effective, is because they think this icon is the trusted source, because this icon represents Vienna, but this is just an account. And whoever's in control of the account can send anything to anybody who uses this icon as the basis of their trust. Which is, yeah. Dev says, my trusted sources are people who can fire me for not reading their attachments, and I know that they sent them. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And were you here when I talked about the CEO that, like, compromised his entire company because of a spearfish that he shared with his whole company? Because the spearfish was so convincing? Because it was, like, some sort of deal in Guns and Ammo magazine that he was, like, really jazzed about, so he sent it to his old company, his whole company. So even though they spearfished him, they got like 210 plus hits because he sent it to the whole corp. Just got here, just got off work set. Oh man, that sucks. I know your time zone. That's a late night. That's a rotten Friday. Well, I hope your weekend's better. I'm hoping mine will be. It has been a rough fucking week, dude. Holy shit. Like, ignoring events, just the work part of it was fucking rough. You had to add everything else on top of that. Like, oh man. I am not a person who, like... I was in my 30s the first time I met a person who went to sleep and woke up and considered that new day to be like some sort of break in the continuity of their luck. Like a new day is a new day kind of people. When I go to sleep and I wake up, there is 100% continuity there. Yesterday is today. Like, I leave off I start exactly where I leave off. And apparently there are people who just, like, go to sleep and that day is, like, mentally past them from that point on. And I can't relate to that at all. I can't relate to that at all. I don't know how chat feels about that, but, like... Nick's like, must be nice. Yeah, right? Can they rotate apples in their head? I'm not sure they can. Must be nice. Anyway, we like Vienna for this language. I love this language. Be extra careful if it's a popular brand, i.e. normie stuff like Pepsi, Labubu, Kit Kat. Absolutely. It is likely faked. One click and you're cooked. This is one thing where having an agency can save your ass. I would say yes. This is a place where having an agency can save your ass. But I have not seen many agencies that live up to that promise. The only agency I know for sure that even has a cybersecurity program at all is Phase Connect, because Sheena talked about cybersecurity training in Phase Connect. And I'm not even sure she was supposed to, but she did, because she got PDF hacked a while back. And she talked about how she got nagged on because, like, she was in cybersecurity training, and Sakana was like, well, obviously it didn't work. And that is the only person that I know, that is the only corporation I know where it's been, like, hard confirmed that they even have a cybersecurity awareness training at all. So, Dev says, do VTuber agencies have decent OPSEC and CyberSec programs, though? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're on the same wavelength here. Like, I don't know that they do. I don't know that they do. And the only other company I thought that might have been capable of that, well, one of two of them. There are 3 companies total. Four. Okay, we're going with 4. There are 4 companies total that I thought might be capable of having a decent one. There's one that I know for sure. There's only one that I know for sure has a cybersecurity awareness training at all. And one of the other 4 was VShojo, and we know how that turned out. So the other 2 are HoloLive and Mythic talent program, but that depends on how independent Mythic really... It depends on how much Mythic goes to bat for their talents. They're only a management program as far as I know, but, like V Shoujo claim that too, so I'm not sure I know how much I trust that. But the only one that I know for sure that even has a cybersecurity awareness training is Fishman. So... You know what, Vienna, this is one thing that that was also my opinion until this year. I also thought like this until this year. But now, I'm not sure any of them have decent cybersecurity programs. And the only one at this point that I even suspect has one, or that I could be convinced plausibly has one, is FaZe Connect. So shout out to FaZe Connect for even having a cybersecurity awareness training program. Fishman keeps winning. Please be safe out there. It sucks to see more creators be targeted and lose so much. I love this PSA. And we're going to get to other images from Vienna that are even better. Which is this one. Let's see. Nero's like, fuck Mythic. I don't actually have any thoughts on Mythic. I'm just being spicy. Yeah, it's like, I don't know that Mythic... I'm going to zoom in on this because it's tiny. But this is from... I forget when this is from, but I took the screenshot this year. And it's Vienna again. My partnered server URL for years was stolen when one of my mods was compromised. Not me. I don't like this language. Because, like, your mods are part of your organization, so, like, they represent you, so, like, if they get hacked, like, you get hacked. But that's a nitpick. It is being used for nefarious purposes, and I'm worried my community and innocent people are getting scammed. Yes, you should be worried about that. I sent a ticket in. It was closed with no answer. Retweets, please. So that invite link was hijacked, apparently. This is so fucked. So Silvervale says, this is so fucked. There's no excuse for them just closing the ticket. I really hope this gets enough traction and gets back to you soon. So, this is actually not the image I thought it was. I might go find it later. But there was one where Vienna got hacked, and she, like, took full ownership of getting hacked. And was like, this is my bad. Please don't let this happen to you the way that I let it happen to me. And I was so impressed by that. I don't really watch Vienna streams. I don't know, like, who she is as a person, and I should clarify, I don't know who she is, like, as a persona. But, based on how she handles cybersecurity, she can't be half bad. Because she takes it very seriously. She's very responsible about it. She takes ownership of when she gets compromised, usually. This is a little bit of a nitpick. I'm sure she treats her mods as, like, part of her risk assessment program. Like, after this, I'm pretty sure she treats her mods as, like, part of her risk assessment now. But, you can't say, like, mod was compromised, not me. That doesn't work. Let's see. Dev says, I don't see it happening for agencies that don't demand a large cut, sadly. FaZe Connect does demand a large cut. But so do a lot of agencies that I suspect don't worry about cybersecurity at all. So it's like, you can't even gauge it on that. Like, and I know that you're not. What I'm saying is, like, even if they take a large cut, it doesn't mean that they're doing what they should be doing. Like, I don't think Niji Sanji, like, I don't think any color... That's Niji Sanji, right? I don't think Niji Sanji is, like, taking a big cut and then doing their cybersec diligence. I would have to be very, very convinced of that. Good ID departments and training aren't cheap? No, they are not. And one of the things Fishman said was like how difficult it was to run a profitable VTuber agency. So what I get from that is that, you know, maybe Fishman's not cutting corners that other people do, you know? Kaviri says, yeah. Whirl says, closed with no answer. G said, yeah, welcome to Tier 1, by the way. If you farm out your Tier 1, if your Tier 1 does not live in the building with you, if they are not invited to the retreats that everyone else is invited to, if you give them pizza instead of pay raises, I guarantee you they're closing tickets they shouldn't, because you've got some dumbass KPI where they basically have to. Nero says, my collection of Penix pictures were leaked onto my Twitter because someone, not me, uploaded all of them in a Trump stupor. I love that message. Inax says, Niji is evil to begin with, though. Yeah, exactly. But, like, they're an example of a company that takes a huge cut, but I wouldn't suspect for a second that they actually have a robust cybersecurity program. I am happy to be corrected by somebody in the know, but I went over in a recent stream how industry secrets in the VTubing industry obfuscate a lot of things that ought to be public about how their cybersecurity posture is, how their talents are affected, how often they're affected, and other stats like that in any other industry are public and shared so that everybody else in the industry can learn from that and people can stop getting pwned as often. But that's not the case in VTubing. I suspect that's not the case in entertainment as a whole, though I would suggest that Hollywood-based entertainment definitely has those systems in place, regardless of how you feel about Hollywood entertainment otherwise. I'm pretty sure that they have those systems in place. But as far as online entertainers go, no. Nero says their cybersec is, trust me, bro. You mean online entertainers? Or VTubers in specific? There's a little bit of a delay, so... I mean, you know how that is. By the time I see your stuff and, you know, by the time you're hearing me, things can get a little disjointed. Yeah, okay, so yeah, online entertainers. Yeah, they basically don't have cybersec. And it's because of what Fishman says. Running that profitably is already hard. Individuals in online entertainment do not make enough money to afford a real cybersecurity program, which is one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing now. That's why we're here. But on that note, we've gone an hour and a half without even a little break. So I'm going to put the break screen up. I'm going to turn the music up, and I'll be back in approximately 5 minutes, give or take. See you on the other side. Man, 5 minutes passes really fast. Anyway, while I was gone, I brought this up too. This is another Vienna post. It's like, hey guys, my Discord server got blow up / hacked. All is safe now in terms of being present in it, but they deleted a ton of channels and messed up all our permissions. It will take some time to fix. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience, and we'll work hard to get it back to normal. Like, I love how Vienna is like on point about like notifying people in a timely manner about what's going on. She seems to have Plus says go blow up. Vienna is an RM alt. Yeah, caught by poor grammar or spelling syntax. Would that be syntax? I don't fucking know. Got some water. Water tastes great. Boy, that's annoying. Nero, are you still here? Yeah, syntax would be like how the sentence is structured. What is it called when you use like the wrong tense of a word? Like it should be blown up. That's some high quality H2O. It's annoying that Nero is still here. I probably cut from one sentence to another mid-track and said something like that, but, you know, he said he was sorry to be here, so... Conjugation? Maybe. Anywho... I've always been impressed with how Vienna handles these situations. And that kind of goes into the subject of like a disaster recovery plan, because I can look at some more stuff where people did not have a great disaster recovery plan. So you might want to think about how you're going to let people know that you've been hacked if you get hacked, if you have a large audience. Because this is Rachel Faircloth announcing that Sayu was hacked. Please don't interact with them until things are resolved. I have no idea who that is. Yeah, messenger pigeon. Whoever this is, I noticed right away and reposted this. So, like... And it turns out it was Alejandro Saab? Saab? I think it's Saab. I don't know if that was a secret or an open secret when this happened, but this is how I learned they were the same person. Because I don't follow this guy's voice acting career, so I had no voice reference for who, like, Sayu was, like, as a voice. So, because, like, by the time... yeah, like, I got out of anime before people who are calling tourists got into anime. I left anime before they knew anime was a thing. Dev says, I don't know how to tell you this, but all of us right now are actually Alejandro Saab. Well, I know my next Discord name bit. We can all rename ourselves to Alejandro Saab. But people are having to say that Sayu was hacked that are, like, tangentially related to Sayu, and then Sayu posted on his Alejandro account that Sayu got hacked. Didn't even dot reply the Sayu... Is dot replying still a thing? Anyway, not the greatest plan for notification, if I'm being real. No offense to Alejandro. I'm sure nobody... Like, that's the point. That's, like, one of the main points of this channel, is, like, nobody even thinks about this stuff. What happened? Like, nobody has a disaster recovery plan. I shouldn't say nobody. I bet Vienna has one. You know, at least a little bit of one, just like based on how she talks and handles things. I bet she has a DRP, even if it's a very informal DRP that only lives in her head. I'm sure she has one. But you have to think about what happens if I get hacked and all of my accounts associated to blah, blah, blah get hacked. What's the backup way to communicate to these people? Nero says DRP, dirty roleplay. Yeah, disaster recovery plan. For those of you who didn't pick it up the first time, I know Nero's joking, but it's a good prompt to say, you know, disaster recovery plan. So you got to think about what happens when things go wrong. And I talked last stream about how people might be overvaluing their identity, but I didn't really go over how somebody would evaluate that. So there are like some questions that you can ask yourself, and I want to talk a little bit about social safety nets, because that's kind of a prudent thing right now, right? Social safety nets are definitely kind of tangential to things that are going on in the world right now. But when I was in the adult industry, and I still see it because I still exist in places where these sort of things are talked about. A lot of them are in public, and if you know where to look, you can go find them. I feel like a lot of people just don't utilize that because they think that the people in there are being untruthful most of the time, and it's just actually generally not the case. But like it's weird what they'll say in public, actually, when given the opportunity to. So can I get to Clip Studio? I can. So if we're going to talk a little bit about social structures and like how social structures keep you safe. So Omni says, what do you do when things go wrong? Throw your hands in the air and say, fuck it. That is some people's plan. Nero says, those are the thing to stop people from jumping out of buildings, right? Yeah. Social safety nets. Dev says, social safety nets, like at the Foxconn man, chat's sharing the brain cell. Diagram segment. Yeah, if I can diagram anything. Is my tablet even plugged in? No, it is not. Let me fix that real quick. Tablet Doko? Or hear the badoops of devices connecting. Alright. Okay, the cursor's on the right side of the screen this time. So, like, let's say this is you. You're, like, an atomized bug person, right? Like, you got into streaming because, like, you went to college and you decided while you're in college that your parents kind of suck and you don't want to deal with them no more. It's a dad with his arms crossed because you don't like each other. So, like, they're out of the picture. Parents. You've got no parents, right? You've gone to college. COVID hits. You're alone. Friends? How many VTubers do we hear complain about not having real friends? Friends? No friends. So they don't like their parents. They've got no friends. By the way, if you're in this situation and you're a young adult, you probably are socially maladjusted, and you might want to look into that. If you have trouble maintaining this over here, if you have trouble maintaining friendships, and your relationship with your parents is bad, never mind why. Oh, Inax going. Take care, Inak. He has to help old people. Good luck with good luck with Sponge Bath. Why did I kill Spider-Man's parents? So, like, yeah, you're this atomized bug person, and it's kind of your fault. I'm gonna give you some cute little eyes, though. Right? This is you. And what's going on here is that you have this relationship, which was handed to you. And I'm not going to say that this is never your parents' fault. Sometimes this is your parents' fault. But if the reason you and your parents don't get along is because of some belief you have that they don't have, like, it's not because they beat you or neglected you, right? Like, if it's for a reason that's not just straight up abuse, and this is also the case, it's your fault. And that's a thing that you have got to fix. And one thing you'll find in the adult industry is that this condition also exists. Right? Are you able to talk to the cops or law enforcement? How many of you have heard a VTuber express, this is also very common in the adult industry for reasons I would assume are obvious, how many of you have heard VTubers express that they don't want to go to the court system and recover damages from somebody that has scammed them because going through the court system would put their personal information out? How many of you have heard that said? Because I've heard it a lot. There are VTubers that will just, like, not sign up for programs, platforms properly because they don't want to give them ID or something. Like, so they've got no friends because they're bad at relationships. They've got a bad relationship with their parents because of either something they did or something the parents did. And they've also put themselves in a position where they are reluctant to talk to law enforcement. When I'm a lion and I see stick figure horses, or gazelles, we'll call them gazelles, they got like horns and shit, am I going to attack a gazelle in the middle of the herd that looks healthy, or am I gonna go after the sick one with tiny horns that looks lame and is fallen behind? Which one am I going after? Where is its schlong? Good point. There. Which one am I going after? The easy target, obviously. I'm attacking this one. These guys probably won't even defend this one. They'll keep running. This one's just fucked. So, if I'm a social predator, if I'm a social abuser, and I see this situation, the R in abuser looks like a sad face. What am I feeling about this situation? Nero says, I'm picking a fight with the sticky finger Carl. He runs the art. Yeah. Yeah, I'm making the booba eyes at this. I'm like, oh man. Oh man, this is what I want. This is what I'm after. This is a target. when I'll just go ahead and use that. I'll just go ahead and use that from chat. Awooga. That's a steak right there. That is free steak dinner. And the reason for that is because you are communicating to me, and you go on stream, right? You go on stream, you tell me that your relationship with your parents sucks, you tell me you have no friends, you tell me about your reluctance to engage with the legal system because, those are vulnerable things about you because you're doing GFE, which we talked about last stream. This is one of the things that where GFE can create vulnerabilities in your security matrix. You've talked about all this shit because you're the girly next door and you talk about the details of your life. And so I know all of this about you. I know you're socially isolated. The rat girl. Like, I like the rat girl, but she's, like, kind of in this situation, right? And also, she's an alcoholic, so I also know that I can just wait a little bit, and she'll drink on stream, and I know exactly when she's making, like, really bad decisions. Like, Elfin. Glows in the dark, just like me. Hello, Elfin. If you ever see this, and, you need help getting a CISSP or something, I know you're studying in that area, hit me up. That is a serious offer. But the this isn't good. All right? And like, you add drinking to this, like, I know when you're inebriated because you do it on, like, holy shit, man. Does that mean you're going to have an attacker? Does that mean the chances of attacker are 100%? No, unless we're talking about a specific thing, which I'll get to later, because, like, there's some pretty good research out there that suggests that if you're in streaming, you are going to acquire a stalker. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, eventually. But I'm broadcasting from a dinner plate. Yeah. It's just because you've done this doesn't mean that you're going to get an attacker. What it does mean is that you are far more attractive to an attacker than a streamer. Why do we always hear when we're joking about, you've seen the jokes everywhere. Oh, on my way to groom a two view. Why do we say that? On my way to groom a two view. It's not on my way to groom a three view. It's not, I'm on my way to groom a 4 view. It's, I'm on my way to groom a 2 view. Yeah, jokes in quotes, because, like, 4chan is where I see this the most. But even when people say that I know are actually joking, the real Chads say, on my way to get groomed by a 2 view, is what Plaw says. I love my mod. Yeah. So, like, we say that because we inherently understand this. We understand that the more socially isolated you are, and the needier you are, the more attackable you are. So, if you are in this position, you are very vulnerable. You need to go touch grass and get some of these. And this is one of the ways that people who are socially vulnerable fall into a trap, because they'll be bad at this, right? And then they'll become a VTuber, and then they'll start a Discord, and then when they're in that Discord, they get a lot of affirmation, and it's the only positive, consistent affirmation they have ever had, in their opinion. Usually it's because their parents gave it to them, and they ignored or rejected it, or people tried to be their friend, but they're really bad at that, so they ignored and rejected it. But, like, they start their Discord server, and they get what they feel like is consistent positive affirmation for the first time. How likely are they going to be to turn Discord off and then go outside to do this thing right here that was hard for them to do? Uh, very unlikely. Very unlikely. And then even if you're like good with your parents, could you like do your parents know what you do? Would it be a good idea to suddenly drop on your parents the fact that you're a streamer and that you've acquired a stalker and that you need shelter? Did you have that conversation before you became a streamer? Or immediately after? And was there a good response to that? And we'll talk about that in like, because this isn't just like atomized Bugman is not just VTubers. As you can imagine, this is also very, very common in the adult space. Hence my talk yesterday about how if you're a VTuber, you're probably GFE, and you're not functionally different from a cam girl. But and I say that with love, but like, y'all share a lot of the same risks, especially in this table. The one of the things I've seen in the adult circle is that it's considered very smart to tell your family that you are doing this. Maybe not your whole family. Maybe your mom before your dad, right? Maybe just your mom. But one that protects you from blackmail a lot better. So like if somebody's like, I'm going to tell your parents, and you've put yourself in a position where that's actually awful enough that you might do what they say, that's bad. That's bad news. Pet the applause. Let me catch up with chat. Miss New Nero rolls in on the stream, and Miss New Booty starts playing in the background. Dev says, we're not going to buy your big outside propaganda. My stalker says you're lying to me. The birds are outside. Omni says on the Discord server becomes a big circle jerk. Yeah. And because you're going to reward that because like, man, this stuff feels great, right? By the way, if you're in this situation, oh, sorry. Hold on. That's the real friends. I need to add arrows for, like, Discord, and they need to be danger arrows. Yeah, hot pink. Hot pink is a danger color. So Discord is over here, right? Discord is over here. And maybe this guy's here, because that's the easiest way to access you. And you're like, man, I'm getting a lot of this from Discord. So I'm going to put a pink X here because this is blocking this. The situation of being in a circle jerk or a toxically positive Discord. I wish I remember what I said. I have your brother's problem. What was that in response to? Give me just a second. Nah, I'm good. So basically, Discord is actively blocking this because, like, this feels really good. If you're bad at this, if you're bad at friends, like, this feels great, right? And like, who's going to deny that? Like, there's some of you who get a lot of your positive feelings from Discord as well, and that's not a bad thing either. I get a lot of positive feelings from Discord as well, but like, I think the difference with me is because I get positivity from, let's add some more green arrows. I guess we could call that family, but there's other family members, right? So your parents are your own like thing, and this is like your greater family. And we can probably put a Discord X there too. Because I get a lot of positive feelings from this, I can walk away from this when it gets bad, or when it becomes not positive. And it doesn't hurt me. Because I have these. And I have these. And we have a good relationship. And I have these. And we have a good relationship. Okay, but what if friend is the abuser? Then they're not your friend. They're just the abuser. Friends don't abuse you. The second they do that, they're not here anymore. Wait, but I can't do what, Spicy? Wait, but I can't do what? No, Kaviri, they don't. The second they do this, they are no longer this. Categorically. You might think they're here, but like every abuser is going to do that, right? Every abuser is going to like, they might even try to like surrogate for your parent relationship. Watch out for that. That's a big one. They might try to surrogate for a friend relationship. They might surrogate for a family. An abuser is going to try to do that. So like they're going to try to appear to be in one of these categories. So I'm not going to like write a special arrow for friends that you think are friends, but they're actually abusers, because that's just abusers. They don't belong here. And the second they do that to you, they go to this category. Have a good relationship. Oh, Spicy says, you can't do that. Have a good relationship with all 4 non-Discord options. I mean, I do all 4. And, in fact, I'm over here or over here adjacent. I won't say which one. But I am definitely friendly with this 3-letter agency. And this 4-letter agency, and so on. We're buddies. We talk to each other. INAC, I've made a very confusing illustration that probably won't make sense outside of the VOD. But welcome back, and I hope you stick around. So, yes, the RM pronunciation debuff. Enunciation, maybe? But pronunciation. What did I do this time? Anyway, I'm good with Leos. Does it count if I am known to the CSO? Yeah. Yeah, it counts. How do you know if they aren't your friend if they've isolated you so you can't be warned? Well, the first sign is that they've isolated you. If you have one friend and you're trying to make other friends and they seem to always be in the way of that, and they're going to be in the way of that in multiple ways. They're going to be like, oh, that person's no good for you, blah, blah, blah. But, like, it's been years at this point, and this person is still your only friend, and they have never found somebody else that they approve of. And also they convince you to leave your parents, and they're still your only friend. That person is probably extremely bad for you. I can't say that in every situation. Maybe you've just been making some really dumb decisions, and they're the only good decision you've made. But that's very rare. That's very rare. It's likely that they are a narcissist, and they are actively preventing you from forming these relationships, specifically because of this attack matrix, because you look like a piece of juicy steak when all these X's exist. That's how you know. You know because of your situation. Oh, yeah. Surrogate. Yeah. Did I say the hard gate? It's pronounced both ways here. You'll hear a lot of gate here. And if I slip into that accent, that's how I'm going to say it. But yeah, I can say surrogate. It's fine. I use them interchangeably because of my yeehaw. Gate? All right, so an attacker loves this situation for obvious reasons. An attacker might get onto your Discord and be like, not only am I going to surrogate for one of these categories, but now I'm also going to throw money at you. Yeah, but Inak, you maintain other relationships, and you seem to do that pretty effortlessly when you want to, and nobody else seems to get in your way. Like the person I know you maintain a relationship, the best relationship with, has never once voiced disapproval publicly about who you hang out with, and you're still here. So it's like, yeah. Plaus says, as a native Texan, I speak for the yeehaws when I say I do not endorse these surrogates. Anyway, attackers love this. And then they'll throw money at you. And watch this warning sign. If you give a sword to this person, and this suddenly stops, that is a red flag. That is a huge red flag. Unless you told them to. I will make that caveat, unless you told them to. If you said, your payment for being my moderator is that I never want to see a donation from you again, if that is a conversation you would have had, fine. But if you have not had that conversation, and this goes away, that's a huge red flag. We'll draw this again because this like needs to be in the VOD. That's a huge red flag. If you give them the sword, and then this goes away. No, oh, this, okay, the one that I drew. I was about to get into it with Noodle. Yeah, the flag is small, but we can add another one. And another one. It's like, that's a huge red flag if this goes away the second this happens. And I have seen this go away the second this happens. Oh, baby, a triple. Gee, Billy, why does your mom let you have 2 red flags? Don't tell my red flag Oshis about each other. That would be very bad for me. The, yeah, that's a warning sign. Usually, this is what we call an orca. And this is why they go after 2 views, because... And an orca is like... That's a term I have coined. That I hope catches on, but I don't care if it does. An orca is just... a killer whale. So when you're in the adult industry... They use whales a lot more than they use the term oilers. And it's a known thing that you have to watch out for your whales because some of them will drop. And this is something VTubers aren't used to yet. When it comes to the adult industry, when it comes to like adult camming, what a killer whale is going to do is he's going to show up into the room, and the first thing he's going to do is drop $1,000. Like, that's the first thing he does. And then he's going to ask you for things. And they're going to be things that aren't on your menu. And they're going to be things that you normally don't offer. And I have seen this $1,000. I have seen this in $5,000. I've seen a killer whale do $5,000. I've seen a real whale do $5,000. That wasn't an orca. I don't think I've ever seen a whale that wasn't an orca drop 10 grand, but I've seen 10 grand. I've definitely seen 10 grand. Hello, sweetie.
Hi, I brought ice cream.
Dev, oh, thank you. I would love that. Dev says, I chose the wrong career path. Yeah, right? Not everybody attracts whales, and there's a subpopulation of them that are killer whales. Female on stream, ew, put on the maid outfit.
They didn't ask nicely.
I wasn't telling you to put on the maid outfit. That's paid content. So... But yeah. I started, referring to these as orcas. Because, like, I'm a professional. I've got to get an industry term started at some point, right? It's like a rite of passage. Something's got to be, credited to you. But, what they'll do is they'll drop, like, in the adult industry, they'll drop $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. And then it'll be like, yeah, so I know you don't do backdoor stuff, but, I just dropped you $10,000. And a lot of the times that works. And sometimes they get phone numbers out of that. And, other really bad stuff. So, one of the things you have to do is come up with things that you will not do. Alright? Don't just make a list of stuff you offer. Make a list of stuff you will not do. No matter what. And when this guy hits that barrier, he's going to protest. And that's how you know he's a killer whale. That's how you know that your whale is an orca. Inac says, but as an internet where there should be a price for everything. Nope. I know what you're saying. And I agree, everybody has their price. But as a safety issue, as a safety professional, I can tell you that having these boundaries and sticking to them is basically your only protection from orcas. That's literally basically it. And a lot of orcas have gotten into what I will call scam orcaing because of what you would call more robust consumer protection policies actually help orcas do their orca thing with fake donations that they will instantly refund later. And that's why a lot of performers have moved off of OF, among other reasons, to Fansly, is because Fansly has better refund protections than OF. And a lot of platform selection is based on refund policy. This is, for other reasons, this is also why you, like, never do anything through PayPal. Is because they're going to get their money back. And the chargeback percentages are rough. They absolutely are. Dev brings up a good point. So, like, not only did the money get refunded, but now you owe the payment processor a chargeback fee. And then you gave them... things you didn't want to offer, and then you paid them for the privilege. Yeah, please, bring it. Okay. Thank you, sweetheart. I'm getting ice cream.
Chocolate caramel brownie or
caramel
peanut butter cup.
Caramel.
Caramel brownie.
Every time.
Caramel. There you go.
Yep. Huge. Inac says, damn, I need an Orcathon. So yeah, those are like some of the risks. So because VTubers are see this is one thing about VTubers in specific. is that VTubers think that they're doing something like really unique and new and special. And in a way they are, but in the way that they deliver and charge for their content and like the audience they court, people have been scamming cam girls for a very, very, very long time, and almost all of their techniques apply to VTubers. So what you have is this atmosphere, is this environment where the scammers are very, very experienced and the performers are not. So that's a target-rich environment. And that's one of the reasons why I think you... Like an Orca might drop 100 gift subs instead of the $1,000. Because for a 2 view, that is an insane thing. For a 2 view VTuber, that's an insane amount of money. For a cam girl, that might not hit their room goal. Like, for the night. So y'all are cheaper. Cheaper, easier targets for orcas. On top of that, a lot of the scam orcas that don't charge back are using stolen credit cards anyway. Plaz says, RM says all VTubers are cheap whores, noted. I mean, kind of. Like, know your worth, ladies. Don't do it for cheap. Be appreciative. But don't... That's why you don't cross this line. Do not ever cross the will not do line. Do not let money make you feel guilty for not crossing the do not cross line. Yeah, ladies. I said what I said. You will never get me to speak bad of that population as a whole. There's a lot of bad eggs in that population. I don't think they're all angels. Most of them are... They will be the first to tell you that they are just as mentally ill, that they're just as, maybe more so. Not even maybe. Like, they've got all of the letters of the alphabet conditions, and, like, they'll just say that outright. Like, they're a mess, you know? They're a mess. And they'll tell you they're a mess. So, like, they're just like VTubers. For real, for real. Like, don't VTubers also brag about how many mental disorders they have? Like, you can't blame me for thinking they're the same, because, like, they act the same. The same. And a lot of them have been explicitly going that route. Dev says, I'm old, I just tell people I'm crazy. Yeah, but, like, therapy language is in vogue, you know? It's like the, having a bunch of, diagnoses is, like, the new crystal girl. Actually, what it is it's the new, lol so random. Yeah. I knew Plaz was going to catch that. Because, like, in the 90s, they had a completely different vibe, no pun intended. Like, they were... The cam girl look in the 90s was, like, this grungy, anorexic, tatted up, kind of lol XD a little bit. That came a little later, actually. But, like, they were grungy and dirty and nasty because that's what people expected out of them. And that's completely changed. Oh yeah, we can absolutely keep the tattoos, but it's got to be girl next door tattoos. You know what I mean? They're not Hell's Angels tattoos anymore. If I could draw a comparison. They're like tattoos of Koroks, or they're tattoos of the Zelda crest, or they're Undertale tattoos. I guess cam girls, there are cam girls who could have Undertale tattoos and be of age now. There are, you know, they're appealing to geek culture, which a lot of them genuinely share. Like, don't think somebody got a Triforce tattoo to be a more effective cam girl. That didn't happen. Okay? She liked Zelda. That girl likes Zelda. She didn't do that for you. Plaz says these girls just need Candy Crush or Angry Bird tattoos and be done with it. That would be like... I have to imagine that's happened. But we're way off topic. It's just like, y'all behave so much. That's why I'm constantly drawing the comparison, because I have more experience with one group than the other, and then the other group, the VTubers, are constantly doing things that reminds me of the group I have experience with. It's like, oh yeah, actually I do know that marketing technique. It comes from cam girls. And like, I think one of the reasons for that is like Western VTubing. Sure. You've got your people who were aware of VTubing and your idol culture things and blah blah blah. But who was the first Western VTuber to really pop off and hit headlines and get in the news? Anybody know who that was? Maybe founded V Shoujo? Co-founded? Because she was the first Western VTuber I was aware of. That's right, it was Melody. So after Melody pops off, you get all these VTubers spinning the punishment wheel. And the punishment wheel is the exact same asset, the exact same website that Chatterbait girls use for their spin the wheel streams. And if you knew about that before you saw the other one, it gets the old noggin jogging. But yeah, the techniques are largely the same, because cam girls figured out a long time ago that the reason people visit them and they don't just go to the hub is because they need a connection of some kind. They need to talk to somebody. They need a woman to talk to. Oh yeah, well, I mean, they are pretty... The wheel spins are pretty big on OF2, but like, that is the industry. Like, I would expect to see them there. But then I start seeing them in, like, Mouse's streams and Fillion streams. And, like, I know exactly what that asset is. It's the same asset. It's the same website. And just, like, a lot of Western VTuber, like, culture may come from Japan, but a lot of the specific techniques come from camming. 100%. Kaviri, do not add that. I'm vetoing that one. Thanks for tagging me. Literally 1984. But that's why I draw those distinctions. And for the purpose of this stream, for the purpose of what I'm doing here, the way you guys are vulnerable to, like, social structure or the lack thereof is exactly the same. And getting back to, like, the parents thing, it's like, it was always like, if you have a good relationship with your parents, you need to tell them before you start so that they learn it from you and not someone else. But maybe don't tell your friends, because this is one of those blood is thicker than water moments. And your friends might even get jealous. They might be, they're more likely to be a vector of bad drama than if you tell this side and you're on good terms with them. And one of the ways you'll see this go upside down is in countries where that work is just, like, still very socially taboo. So that's very Americentric, Eurocentric, Western advice to tell your parents. And that's why I always caveat that with if they would be good with it. Because there's a lot of places in this world where if you told your parents what they did, or they found out about what you did, you would be in imminent physical danger. And you would never tell your parents in that situation. But you know what else you would be told? You know what else you would read in the Cam Girl Survival Guide? Is if you're in that situation, don't do it. Don't be a cam girl if you're in that situation. And I think VTubers have an easier time there. I know they do, actually. It's much easier to accept. Especially if you're not doing, like, really lewd content. Omni. I don't know, man. Melody has talked about friends she's told, and they insist on favors in air quotes and ended the friendship because she wouldn't. So yeah, that's something Paws just said. Yeah. Jealousy is a thing. Like, and that's jealousy from everybody, and there's a lot of good reasons for it sometimes. Like, why do a lot of men have a negative reaction when they hear, like, a cam girl is making $500,000 a year or something like that? Can anybody throw some guesses out? Because I know what the real reason is for a lot of them. Dev says, I just get jealous. Noodle says, jealousy from both genders, surely. Dev is correct. Dev is being honest with himself and everybody else. Because most men would gladly, had they the parts to make it enticing, unbutton their shirt for $500,000 a year. I sure fucking would. And then they realize that they can't. Or, like, they know intuitively that they can't because they don't have boobs. Right. No one will pay you $500,000 a year to unbutton your shirt. So yeah, they get mad about it. Do you think your girlfriends don't feel the same way? As I sloppily eat my ice cream. I apologize for that. Do you think their girlfriends feel any different? Imagine, yeah, make that money, girl. Imagine if you do have boobs and your friend who also has boobs opens their shirt and then they make $500,000. Like, I'm committing like a reduction ad absurdum here, but just to like illustrate the point, just to like so I don't labor myself with a bunch of language in the details. You know? My friend unbuttoned her pants and now she makes $500,000 a year. Am I going to start asking her for favors? Especially if we're both streamers. Yeah. Probably. You know, it is what it is. You best be believing in the RM mukbang stream, Omni. You're in one. I'm not like the other girls. I'll eat with an unmuted mic. Dev says I'd be asking her for career tips. And, like, yeah, some of them are going to do that. Like, the well-adjusted people, but, like, consult the diagram. But, yeah, a lot of that negative reaction isn't, like... It might be shrouded in a sense of morality. People might take their jealousy and they might justify it with arguments to morality or ethics, which, you know, those are related, or even the law. But, and maybe they have a point. Maybe unbuttoning your shirt for $500,000 a year is a cheat code that shouldn't be used. Like, we ban gambling for the same reason, right? Because it hits dopamine buttons that are just, like, a little too powerful. And I'm not advocating that we outlaw it. I'm just saying there's a moral discussion to have there. And I think if you enter a time where the economy becomes particularly poor, you will reach a point in that discussion where the answer becomes yes. Like, if you're how many people have to struggle to eat before they start voting to take away the ability to eat by showing your breasts off online? Like, I'm trying to, describe a societal risk here. Because nobody's going to ban titties if everybody's rolling in cash. Because that's not an efficient way to make the money, right? You know, only whores do that. You've noticed a reduction in that language as, like, master's degree holders go, like, you know, actually getting on Chatterbait is a more efficient way for me to gain resources than my master's degree. Because there's a lot of those. And then we wonder why it's getting more acceptable to be a cam girl. I don't think it's because of the way dating is or because of the sexual revolution. I think it's because everybody kind of, whether they've thought about it at an executive level or not, understands that some of these girls are very well educated and have degrees in things that perhaps should be useful, but for some reason aren't, and would make more money doing adult work than their 6-year degree would give them. And I think that's why it's more acceptable these days, and basically no other reason. Maybe not no other reason, but I think that's like the primary driver of acceptance in that position. Like, I think that's like the reason janitors are looked down on. Because, like, who would be a janitor But what they're really saying is, who would take that kind of pay unless they had to? And that's the way we used to look at, like, cam girls and, like, sex workers in general. It's like, it wasn't the most efficient way to get that money, so who would do that aside from the people that had to? But now it's clearly, obviously more lucrative than you only do that because you have to. Now it's clearly lucrative enough to be like, yeah, I would do that because that's some fucking money. Noodle asks, janitor as in cleaner? Yeah, like a groundskeeper. A custodian. Nero says, because it's not just crack hose anymore, it's people you probably know. Exactly. And the reason it's people you probably know is that value assessment. Especially during COVID. Like, imagine hating on people for doing that work when you are literally not allowed to leave your house. So that's why it's, like, really acceptable now, just because, like, not only is it weird to look down on somebody for doing that because they literally couldn't leave their house, the services that they provide became a lot more relevant to you because you couldn't leave yours. Right? Oh, just go to the bar, get a girlfriend. Bars are closed, and if they see you outside, you get arrested. Now what? Because that used to be the answer to people who would give money to cam girls, right? It's like, dude, go to the bar and get a girlfriend. Shit, I'll buy you a hooker, man. Just to, like, break you in. You know? Those conversations would be had. But now it's literally illegal to go to bars and go outside. At the time that this happened. So that changes the whole dynamic. And that's also when VTubers popped off. And it's the exact same reason that VTubers popped off. And that comes back to this social isolation circle. So a lot of VTubers got into VTubing when they weren't allowed to see their parents. What color do I make COVID, guys? What color do I make COVID? Yellow. We love yellow. Bitches love yellow. So, we've got COVID over here, right? COVID cut you off from this guy, if you didn't live with them. COVID cut you off from your parents if you didn't live with them. Like, in places where lockdown happened. Did the same with your friends. Did the same with your family. Like, if you were, like, the standard apartment dweller, it cut you off from all of those groups. It even sorta kinda cut you off from law enforcement. But it didn't cut you off from Discord. Put, like, a little yellow heart here, too. We'll wrap the real heart up in the COVID heart. So... yeah, mustard yellow. Some people I like's favorite color. Right? So... COVID, like Thanos snapped a lot of people into this situation. So you have a lot of VTubers here right now that are still active, because, like, that was also the boom time, right? That was also when getting into VTubing was, I won't say easy, like, I'd say getting into it is easier now, but getting into it and immediately making money was easiest during COVID. Like, that's not really a controversial thing, right? So, a lot of current big VTubers came into the scene when this happened. Let's go over some other risks that might socially isolate you related to your parents. So what if your parents are poor and you hit it off? And they find out that you do this and you make that. What's going to happen? What might they ask you to do? Or even, what if your whole extended family is also like that? They might start begging for your cash. They might start taking that Phase Connect cut, or at least trying to. Now, let's imagine that this is the situation, and you live in their house. First of all, if you're going to stream while you live in your parents' house, they better fucking know. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're trying to hide streaming, like, inside the house. Like, I've seen some people try to do that. That's not great. Like Noodle says, that's not great. Don't do that. But, like, the more X's you have here, the more you need to put your social vulnerability into extremely likely on your qualitative risk assessment. Not having friends, not having that, like that increases your we'll call it your social isolation score. Your cis. The more X's you have here, the more this goes up. And that being high is a bad thing. Because then there's no way to retaliate against this guy. That's what this is all about. There's no way to retaliate or recover damages from this guy if this is your situation. This guy may also go undetected for a long time if this is your situation. And Kirsha was actually talking about that, like, right before I had to, like, close down all my, my recreational stuff and get onto the stream. She was talking about that a little bit. Now I forget exactly what she said. But I was like, yeah, I am definitely talking about this today. Definitely talking about this. But yeah, your ability to, like, if you can't call the cops and somebody has blackmailed you, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. They get away with it. If somebody scams you and you're not willing to sue them, they get away with it. That's what happens. They just get away with it. Oh yeah, Kirsha was saying you have to have, like, that group of people you talk to that are not in the industry that you're willing to talk to about everything that happens. And I 100% agree. And those of you who have, like, talked to me for a long time and have been around me long enough know that that's been my position for a long time. For a long time. Is, like, you have to go out and do the difficult thing. You have to go... Like, if you haven't... The order of recovery here... The order of recovery here... is, if it is at all feasible, repair this relationship. And if you and your parents broke up over anything less than abuse, this is probably more repairable than your anxiety brain is telling you that it is. So my first goal would be where it is safe to do so, because I am aware that that is not always the case, which is why I keep... You know what? I'm just going to color pick it, because I forgot what fucking color it was. That's why I keep repeating the if it's safe, because if I forget to do that one time, it's a problem. We repair this first. If we can. Alright? Because these are the people we are most likely to be able to tell about what we do that are not going to demand favors, as Paws was alluding to earlier. So we repair this first if we can. If we can repair this, if we can repair family, I'll just draw the band-aid this time. If we can repair extended family that aren't our parents, or even immediate family that aren't our parents, siblings, grandparents, direct relatives, we do that next. After that, hey, you might have thought it'd be friends. No. After that, we do everything in our power to make this a doable thing. Not the greatest option if you're, like, literally turning tricks, but, you know, we're talking about streamers. If you have been isolated from this group because of, like, political inthink, stop. Just straight up stop. Repair this relationship after parents and family. You know, if it's possible. Like, we're going down the hierarchy of we're going down the order of operations here. After that, we slowly try to make some non-streamer, that's important, non-streamer friends. We make some non-streamer friends. Because there's, like, always a financial incentive with streamer friends to, like, be friendlier than you actually are. To, like, pretend to be friends for, like, collabs and stuff. Collaborations. As long as they can get something out of you that is valuable to them, this will always have, like, conflicts of interest. And it's not to say that, like, this other stuff won't have conflicts of interest, but, like, one of the biggest risks to streamers right now, like, getting doxxed is actually 10 times more dangerous when you do not have a good relation with the cops. If you can't call the cops and be like, hey, I'm a streamer, my information's been leaked. If you get calls about, like, somebody being in danger at this house that would warrant, like, a SWAT team response, maybe reconsider that. There's actually starting last year, I started getting emails that were instructing local law enforcement to start doing training on the swatting threat and what that looks like. I'm not sure how many municipalities or we'll say jurisdictions. I don't know how many jurisdictions are doing that, but it's a thing that they have finally started to broadly train for. And it's probably, I would say right now that swatting is the number one risk of doxing. Or vulnerability, I should say. Being swatted is, like, the number one threat to you after you have been doxed. Right now it is, I mean. That may change in the future. There are definitely other competing threats. That is for sure. But I'd say as things stand, like right now, swatting is the most accessible thing an attacker has when your docs are dropped. Because if you're living in upstate New York or something, and somebody in the UK gets your docs, that's, like, not very useful to them. That's not something that they can really... They can't, like, go to your house on a whim, unless they're, like, already rich. And then, like, people who have that much money tend to think about things... Not always, but they tend to be the kind of people who can think about the consequences of their actions. Those are very highly correlated things. But what somebody who doesn't have a lot of mobility or money or anything else can do if they're in the UK and you're in upstate New York and they get your docs is they can call in a SWAT. They can SWAT you. That has basically global reach. Kaviri says there is some procedure you can follow to prevent swatting, apparently, but you do need to contact your local law enforcement. Yeah, and it's not like... It's not like you can magically make yourself exempt from swatting. You can just tell the police department that you're at a high risk for those phone calls being called in at your address because of what you do. Like, they're law enforcement. They can't ignore every threat, right? So you can't have, like, all of your phones off when you're streaming in that situation, because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to call you after you've set that up. And if you don't answer because, teehee, eto, I forgot to charge my phone, you're getting swatted. Because they couldn't contact you. So, like, yeah, that's a very important relationship to repair. Or to have. And... Your good girl points with your social club is not worth that. It's not. Those are not your friends if they're gonna be like, ew, you talk to the cops because you're a streamer and people you literally try to kill you with cops, but you talk to the cops, ew. It's like, that's a very good way to tell that those people are not people you should be talking to. That's also why streamers, and especially cam girls, even though they tend to be very, very far left on the political spectrum, like, that's a very far left-leaning group of streamers and VTubers especially, and sex workers especially, very left-leaning. But they have a large group of... firearms owners in that subgroup. It's funny what being under actual threat will do to a person and their political correct viewpoints. Let's see. I missed a lot of chat. Hold on, because we got a bunch of emotes added, and now that I've got two people adding emotes, they're kind of like fighting with each other. Let's see. Streamer, is it? No, you're good, people. I'm just being that. Yeah, no, you're fine. I know that you're joking around. Repair with law enforcement here being entirely on your own end unless you're a wanted criminal. And yeah, that's something I was getting at earlier. Like, a lot of sex workers are criminals for being sex workers, even if they're just on, like, cam sites in their countries. And that's in one of those situations where it's like, are you really sure this is the best avenue for you? Because, like, if you read, like, the Cam Girl Survival Guide, or you go to, like, our Cam Girl Problems, and you read, like, the wiki, it'll be like, no, you don't. It'll be one of those, like, you don't actually want to do this, because, like, XYZ, this is forever. This situation, it's like you're isolating yourself from the cops in a lot of places. You're putting yourself in a position where you're socially isolating yourself, and then you're socially isolating yourself and exposing yourself to, like, lonely, horny men. And that goes for VTubers as well. So, like, that's a bad situation from the get-go. You probably don't have the mental fortitude for this. Like, this is a bad idea. It's the first thing those guides say is, like, this is a bad idea and you need to turn around right now, because past this point, you're part of an exclusive club. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Dev says, seems like a good example for device isolation you talked about. Have that work phone when streaming for that. No, yeah, absolutely. I've always said that if you can afford it, device isolation should be one of the first, like, security goals that you achieve. And I'm sure she's not the only one, but there's exactly one streamer I know of that has explicitly said that they practice full device isolation, and it's a very good idea. And I'm sure that other people, I'm sure that her colleagues kind of make fun of her for that sometimes. I'm sure she's looked at as like the paranoid person for doing that, but it's a very, very good idea, and I was very happy to hear it. And more people should do it. 100%. How did we not have Suzji? Yeah, so we're at the 3-hour mark. My canvas is full. We've taken exactly 1 break instead of the 3 that we should have had by now. And I think this specific topic has run its course. So unless anybody has, like, some specific questions, I think we can wrap this up. Anybody have anything they would like clarified? Or questions in general? Noodle says, you mean both PC and phone? Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to have a duplicate of each. What you do have to do is that if your PC is for work, then nothing personal exists on that PC. If that phone is for work, then there are no personal accounts on that phone, and especially for phones. Meta apps are super leaky. They will straight up recommend your adult content to your family and everybody else on your contacts list, even if you do not select the use my contacts list to suggest. Because, like, if somebody else on your contact list has that enabled, it's like a 1 degree of separation thing, and that stuff will be offered up to your direct family straight up. Yeah, don't even sign into your browser. Like, isolation means isolation. Total air gap. Yeah, with your personal account. Like, your personal account stays on your personal device, and you never log in with your work account on your personal device, and vice versa. So if your phone is uninvolved in your work, then that becomes your personal device, and you never log in to your work anything on that device. That's device isolation. So when you're practicing that, and especially if you're a VTuber, like, a VTuber's already going to have an extra phone for, like, the face tracking. Well, now you've got 3 phones. One's your personal, one's your private, and one's your face tracking. So, you know, you get 3 phones and 2 computers. But if you're a 4 of you, can you tell me you can't afford that? Because I think that's bullshit. Well, personal and work is what I mean by private. Personal and work. Because, like, in that situation, the personal thing is going to be the less private one, because you're doing stuff like taking pictures of yourself and sending, like in my situation, my personal phone would be used to send pictures of my children to the relatives, right? If I were going to do that. So that would be the more public persona. So that's why I called work private. Yeah, and one's your face tracking. Noodle says, but you said 3 phones. Yeah, one's your face tracking. Now, maybe your face tracking phone is, like, also your work phone. Kaviri says 4 of you can afford personal and workspace in separate buildings. Absolutely, I agree with that. But I have heard 4 of yous, like, be reluctant to make those decisions, and it was just like, you have the money. Stop buying Labubu's and do it. Exactly, Dev. Dev says, at that scale, you're running a business, so run it like one behind the scenes, in my opinion. Absolutely. Which is why we're doing this. Because the stuff I'm talking about, like doing threat analysis and doing disaster recovery plans and doing business impact analysis, that's business shit. No one's doing this in their personal life, except, like, weirdos like me who have been trained like this, and you know, every if all you have a hammer is a nail kind of situation, right? So, like, sure. And that's when I started making personal decisions about my privacy that people might not disagree with. After I got trained in cybersecurity is when I started going, you know what? My privacy is not actually worth a whole lot, and I am comfortable sharing certain things online that other people might think I'm crazy for. But, you know, I've weighed the risks. Oh, ooh, I need to add an arrow. I need to add an arrow. This is part of your social isolation, but people don't really think about it. And, I didn't think about it either. It's not the most intuitive or obvious thing that comes up. And I forgot about it until just now. So after this, we'll wrap up, right? Your legal framework for self-defense. Spicy Noodle says, oh yeah, I assumed face tracking was work phone. Yeah, if those are the same phone, you have 2 phones instead of 3. But your legal options for self-defense are part of your social isolation. Because having a stalker in a state where you have stand your ground protections is way different than having a stalker in a jurisdiction where you have duty to flee. Like, let's not even talk about firearms or what weapons you're allowed to have. Let's just talk about the distinction between duty to retreat and stand your ground. That distinction alone is a huge deal when you're talking about being socially isolated and having to pick and choose. Spicy Noodle says duty to flee. Yeah, most Euro countries have this, and a lot of United States states have this. But basically, what duty to flee is like if you've got somebody breaking into your house or like burglarizing you and you have a viable escape route, you must take that escape route instead of confronting your attacker. If you confront your attacker and you had an escape route, you are going to jail. That's duty to flee. And there's a lot of states that have it, even in the USA. And there's a ton of countries that have that. Whirl, you live in a country with duty to flee. You need to look that up. You have a duty to retreat in your jurisdiction. Last I checked, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that's changed since the last time I looked. Y'all need to be up on this. You need to know how long you're going to jail for, because, like, some of the penalties for this include significant jail time. Like, you can be charged with murder. Or attempted murder. Please know what your jurisdiction thinks is an appropriate response if somebody comes knocking that wasn't invited. Glad we had that question. That's a very important thing. You need to know whether or not you are under duty to retreat laws. Absolutely, 100%. I live in a place where my personal safety and personal protection options are very broad. There's a lot of streamers, I'd say the bulk of them, that live in a place where those options are very narrow. And if that means you've got to practice going out of your fire escape, then you need to start practicing going out of your fire escape. And I am 100% serious about that. Make sure those windows move smoothly. Make sure that those ladders go down. Because, your municipality might not check that as rigorously as you think they do. Make sure that if you're in a building with a fire escape, that you practice using it. Frequently. Because it doesn't take a lot of rust to seize that up. I'll look it up for UK, because I am fairly certain UK punishes people who invade their homes when they have a duty to when they have an escape route. I am fairly certain that is the case. In fact, I would say it's almost a uniquely American thing to have stand your ground protections. Because you don't have to explicitly have a duty to retreat law if you have the lack of stand your ground protections. You may find yourself in that trouble anyway. And it's called, opponents of it will tend to refer to it as castle doctrine. You know, a man's home is his castle. They'll refer to it that way. Proponents used to refer to it that way too, but it sounded like all medieval and stuff, so it became more of like of a negative associated thing than a positive. Most proponents for that will call it a stand your ground law now instead of a castle doctrine law. But the point is, you need to know which one of those you're under. You need to look into the legal history in your jurisdiction of burglary cases where the homeowner fought back, or even cases where somebody's assaulted in the street that fights back, because there are places in this world, and a lot of them are in Europe, where if you're assaulted on the street, you're required to run away. That is absolutely a thing that has happened in the UK. That is absolutely a thing that has happened in France. That is absolutely a thing that has happened in Germany. Yeah. And if you don't feel confident covering that yourself, hire a lawyer. It'll be like a one-session thing. It might be a little expensive, but like get a consultation. It might even be free. Who knows? I don't know what your jurisdiction has in the way of those sorts of options for you, but look into it. You don't want to find out after. Now, in my opinion, better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6, but, like, not everybody has that opinion. Yeah, and that's why Nero says proportionality, you step foot in my house, you lose your face proportional. And that's why castle doctrine laws exist, is because people thought that, and people thought that was obvious, and there weren't legal protections in place for that, and then they went to jail for murder in a capital punishment state. So you got to be crystal. That's why those laws were added, was because you could be in a capital punishment state, have somebody break into your house, repel them, they die, jury decides that was disproportional and you've committed murder, and you're in a state where that's a capital offense. That's a bad day for you. Is it likely you're going to get the death penalty in that situation? No, but the fact that it's a possibility at all, yeah. Yeah, Nero. And that's great. I'm just stressing to people to know their laws, because, man, there are some gotchas there. There are some gotchas there. Now, a lot of you live in a place where, you know, capital punishment isn't on the table. And for you, hold on, let me think about my ethics. I can't encourage you to break the law. But I can tell you that if there were no risk of me facing the death penalty, that I would not follow the law if it conflicted with my personal protection plan. If I knew I could not face the death penalty, and the law interfered with my personal protection plan, I would not follow it. But I cannot recommend that you do the same. I can recommend that you make those decisions for yourself. So I think that wraps it up a bit. I see a lot of fucking, and I appreciate the emotes. I see a lot of fucking new emotes for the channel now. I will definitely enjoy seeing those spammed. But we're going to wrap up now. I hope you all had fun. I certainly did. That this took 3 hours was like, that was a pretty fast 3 hours. I think we'll call it here. And you all enjoy your evenings and the rest of your weekend.